Britta Albert here. If this is your first time here, I'm a spiritual transformational life coach. My goal for this channel is to help you overcome the obstacles that are standing in the way of you living your best and most authentic life. In this video, I want to talk about what is the Ascension. There are so many belief systems that are coming up and playing simultaneously in the world right now. There are conspiracy theories, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of purging happening. There are some people who believe that the world will be saved. There are some people who believe that we're all doomed to extinction. There are some people that have no idea what the heck is going on. And there are some people who choose not to play or participate in any of that. And it's not real to their reality. Now, when it comes to things like paradigms, you have to understand that every paradigm is real to the people who believe in it. In the last video that I talked about with manifestation, I talked about changing your belief system. This is no different. And to oversimplify what Ascension is the earth raising from 3D into 5D. And with that is our understanding of ourselves, our understanding of God, our understanding of what we're capable of. There's a lot more clarity, there's a lot more love, there's a lot more connectedness. So with the Ascension process comes the purging of different belief systems, different paradigms, different things that have held you back in the past. And that's literally what my goal is for this channel, is to assist people who are going through this shift, who are going through this change. It's literally why I changed my path as a life coach that kind of was going to have more of a business aspect to it, to a spiritual life coach. I had to come out of the spiritual closet, I guess you could say. And the whole point of this channel is this exact purpose. We've already seen some major shifts, some major purges globally. There will be more, and that's nothing to be scared of. It's nothing to worry about, because we got through this, we'll get through those. We don't need to think about that at this very moment. A lot of these things are happening individually. So say, for example, we are collectively going through a purge, a collective dark night of the soul, and everybody's in quarantine, right? Your quarantine looks different from my quarantine, looks different from somebody else's quarantine, looks different from somebody else's quarantine. There are people who are homeless who are going through this epidemic. Imagine the fear, imagine the hopelessness, imagine whatever that would feel like for them to go through a pandemic and have nowhere to go. Picture yourself with a partner who is physically abusive, and you're in this dangerous situation that you're having to survive every single day, whether you're a child or whether you're an adult. It's a dire, desperate, hopeless, fearful situation on top of everything else that's going on globally. Then also imagine that you're somebody, and some of you don't have to imagine you are that person who lives alone and desperately misses their family or their friends. You might be somebody like me who has quite a large household, who just wishes they could have a little bit of peace of quiet. But we're all experiencing this differently. So where we're having a large collective purge of fear that we are calling the word that cannot be said on YouTube, what I'm just going to refer to as the virus, globally, we are experiencing mourning for those that we've lost. Globally, we experienced fear of the unknown, fear of death, fear of economic crisis, fear of losing our homes. And many people are still in that situation, if not in the United States, and other places around the world. So these things, they're still existing, they're still here. And like I've said in, I think it was 2 videos ago, maybe 3 videos ago, I talked about what it's like for me. And although I'm still experiencing these same things with all of you, it looks very different for me. I have lost 2 loved ones One was in the midst of this, we couldn't even have my grandmother, we lost my grandmother, we couldn't even have a funeral for her. They buried her and nobody was even allowed to be there. So I'm telling you from experience, I'm not comparing my situation to anybody else's, but I am telling you I experienced loss as well. I understand that part of it, but I do have peace. So there's a collective shift, there's a collective purge of fear. Then there's individual growth that's happening as well, individual things. And what happens when we spend time alone, when we spend time in quiet, or even if you're like me and you have no quiet, there are still some things of fear that are coming up, or doubt, or disbelief. Or for me, I was just looking through some photo albums and I had these flashbacks of some really, really painful times of my childhood. And when these things come up, I know as a life coach, well, what does that mean? Why is it coming up now? It's coming up now because it's safe. It's safe to finally look at those things. It's safe to finally feel those things. It's safe to finally heal those things. So what happens as with the Ascension is you raise up from 3D into 5D, and this is a process that's going to take a long time. Like, we probably won't, some of us may see it in our lifetime. Most of us won't see fully living in 5D in our lifetime. This is something that is going to be generation, kind of slowly, very naturally happening and progressing. We're just seeing the very start of it. But what happens when you raise something up? Well, other things come up too. So if you, just to kind of give an example of a fifth dimensional being, would be what the Bible calls an angel. So an angel of the Lord comes, and what is one of the main things that they always say? They say, do not be afraid. Well, why would you be afraid when you see an angel? If you're not afraid of the fact that something just appeared out of nowhere, which is enough to frighten most people, imagine the feelings that are coming up inside of you when you are in a dense 3D place, experiencing dense 3D emotions, and now you have this fifth dimensional or sixth dimensional or seventh dimensional being, this angel, this light being of love coming into your presence. It's pulling up things from you, and you're going to feel afraid or feel at the very least uncomfortable, not just from what you're seeing and experiencing, but your brain isn't going to be able to understand that these things that are buried deep inside of you are coming to the surface just by being in the presence of these beautiful light beings. So you have these beautiful angels that are around you, they're near you, and they're shifting you. So what they have to say, they say, do not be afraid. Because they understand that although their appearance might be startling, there's also some stuff in you that's coming up to the surface. So globally, we're experiencing that collectively as well. Individually, we all have our own growth, our own healing journeys. And there will be some that never experience that in this lifetime. It's not for them. It doesn't resonate. They did not choose to participate, and that is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That is beautiful. That is perfect. That is divine. There's no wrong way to do this per se. There's easier ways. You're going to ascend one way or another, whether you're kicking and screaming, whether you're completely oblivious that it's happening, or whether you're fully conscious and aware that it's happening. What is the biggest difference? When you're fully conscious and aware that it's happening, there's a lot less resistance. It's a lot less scary. It's a lot less jarring. You are more in control of your healing versus kind of being pulled along life. You go from being a victim to understanding that everything works together for your good, and God is in everything, and God is in you, and you are God, and we're all interconnected, and duality doesn't exist. And these are very big concepts that I'm really just kind of skimming over right now, just to give you a brief definition of the ascension that is happening right now. There are countless other videos of people here on YouTube and on Instagram who explain this far better than I can, far more eloquently than I can. but I felt led to tell you guys just to give a brief description of what the Ascension is. If you hear people talking about the Ascension, what is it? What does it mean? Is it anti-Christian? Is it satanic? Is it whatever? It has nothing to do with any of that. There's a lot of scientific things that are happening to show proof of this as well, that it's not just biblical, but it also is happening in the scientific world. For me, I can only tell you my personal experiences, and I can only share with you what is being shared with me from my guides, my angels, God, whatever you want to call it, universe. So what is this for? What is this Ascension for? What is this all for? Why? Why is this even happening? Things were fine the way they were, right? So originally, when the earth was created, the earth was in a fifth dimension. And we chose with our free will to play in things that were lower. And it took many, 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 many thousands of years, generation after generation after generation, to pull it down so deep to where we became a species with amnesia. We forgot who we were. We forgot that we came from divinity. We forgot that we had souls. We forgot these things. And then slowly we're shifting back up to remember who we are, to remember we are eternal. And when we die, of course, we have that understanding, we have that knowingness. But what a lot of us are doing now, what you would call light workers, star seeds, whatever, it doesn't matter, it's all the same. There's no words that we really need to describe these individuals, because that just creates more duality, more them versus us, and that's not the way that it is. It's just the sheer fact that the reason it's happening is for our greater good. Because we're not meant, by birthright, we're not meant to suffer. We don't suffer in this life and then make a mistake and also suffer for the rest of eternity. That's not God. What kind of loving God is that? That's not the reality. The fact is, we were never meant to suffer in this way to begin with. This is something that collectively with free will people chose to do. They chose to play in these things, to experience these things, and that's okay. But now it's time to pull ourselves back up. So the earth has already moved up into the 5D, which was necessary to be able to support 5D life. And you'll see over generations that DNA is changing. People getting light activations to activate the DNA that you have right now. There's so much to unpack in this. So much information that took me a long time to learn and kind of piece together, and it's all been shown to me synchronistically. If this video does not resonate with you, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just wanted to explain again, what is the Ascension? What is it all about? What are people talking about? What does it mean? And in very, very layman terms, a very oversimplistic explanation is connecting us closer to Source, connecting us closer to God, releasing us from the suffering that we inflict upon ourselves and each other, and coming more into a heart-centered place to live with each other, which actually is a great segue into something that I'm going to be starting in one of my next videos, and I'll be sprinkling it in here and there so every video isn't about this next topic. But my next couple videos, I'm going to discuss a book called Conversations with God. Now, if God is a trigger word for you, get over it. It's okay. It's okay. I promise. In this book, it is a channeled work, and it is actually 3 books that I'm going to be going over. And it talks about God's love. Really. It may trigger a lot of people. It may set a lot of people free. If you've already read Conversations with God, then you're probably going to be excited because you know what this series is going to be on. If you have not and you want to get a sneak peek of it, if you have Audible or if you want to download a free trial, this is not sponsored. I don't have that ability yet, but you can find the complete 3-book series on Audible, Conversations with God. I highly recommend check it out, so that way when I start to go through those videos, you can have a better idea of what I'm referring to when it comes to Conversations with God. So I hope this video was helpful, just kind of giving you a very simple explanation of what is the Ascension, what is happening right now. It may resonate with you, may absolutely not resonate with you. Either way is fine, either way is perfect. So I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you soon.